I've reviewed 2 games by BMC Studio, a group of Canadian kids trying to become game developers. Kimulator, Fight for Your Destiny, was a shitty first-person shooter cobbled together with Game Guru's stock assets and stock moronic AI. Zombie Tato's, The End of the PC Master Race, was a sort of adventure game that barely had any gameplay or plot to speak of. Both games are built out of cutscenes showing the cast of BMC dicking around that are almost physically painful to sit through due to a mix of painfully bad acting, abysmal productions, and jokes that give insult to the very concept of jokes.
I will kill you like a Jew in the Holocaust.
Wow, they really like the game.
Well, it can't be worse than 9/11.
And those were their good games. The 2 out of 15, according to Mellow Online, that actually managed to get through Steam Greenlight before it was shut down, and game number 16 only got onto the store because Valve pushed a shitload of Greenlight submissions onto the store when the service went dark. But a funny thing happened when everybody on the internet complained about their games. BMC appears to have listened. When Kimulator 2, Brother of Time, later renamed Kimulator 2 The Bottle Flip Master, hit Greenlight, they swore up and down that they had been in contact with their critics and genuinely wanted to improve their games. They even reached out to me on Twitter to inform me that Kimulator 2 was being released and to ask if I'd be doing a review of it. They never talked to me directly about my reviews, but it was strongly hinted that they've seen them. I like to think my videos were just so detailed that they required no further discussion. Most Steam developers who make a bad game spend all of their time lashing out at critics and claiming there's a conspiracy against them and all that other shit, but call me naive, BMC genuinely seems to be trying to improve. So whatever fun we poke at the game today, I just want to say, BMC, you have my respect. Now let's see if you still have it when this game's over. The game begins with a news show, Nation of Drama, that has more production value than the entire first 2 games combined. He recaps the first game, somehow without mentioning that you killed Kim Jong-un.
A young French Canadian who's been killed by the commander of the Canadian Army. It seems that he didn't do his job properly.
My ass didn't do his job properly. I killed the shit out of that vaguely Asian-looking pre-made asset that was supposed to be Kim Jong-un.
Strangely, no one found the body of the young boy.
If nobody found his body, how does anybody know that the general killed him? Yep, Brother of Time. I figured they didn't change the Kimulator? The title is spelled wrong in the opening credits! The protagonist of the last game, who's named Vincent, incidentally, wakes up in the middle of a snowy road, which isn't where he died in Kimulator, so I guess he just likes to sleep on hard-ass frozen concrete with no cover in the middle of winter now.
I'm back, motherfucker.
He goes to a church to ask Jesus why the commander tried to kill him, but Jesus has no idea what's going on.
What do you exactly mean when you say that the commander has betrayed you?
Are you not supposed to know and see everything?
That is not the point. What exactly?
Okay, you got 1 laugh out of me. That's better than the last 2 games combined. Don't let it go to your head.
How is this possible?
Jesus informs Vincent that the commander is secretly Adolf Hitler, who traveled through time to the present where he took on the guise of a Canadian military general and sent Vincent to kill Kim Jong-un because he knew Vincent and Kim were the only 2 people on Earth who could stop him, and nothing that I just said made any sense! Jesus tells Vincent the only way to stop the commander is to go back in time and kill him while he's still Hitler, and luckily he just happens to have a previously unmentioned friend who's a time traveler. So the 2 meet up and the friend brings some gear to help on their quest. Let's see, I can click on the bag or I can click on the friend. Let's see. Let's try clicking on the friend. Oh man, I could loop that for hours. Oh, I am so keeping this clip for later. Inside the bag is a crumpled up piece of paper.
A paper and a pencil?
What?
A paper and a pencil?
Paper meta parcel?
A paper and a pencil?
Paper hand of Kelso?
A paper and a pencil?
Paper menopause hoe?
A gun?
Also in the bag is a pistol that literally falls apart. They play it like a meta joke of how shitty their props are, as well as a sandwich and a glue stick.
And a glue stick? What the fuck?
You know, he really should be more impressed, considering there's obviously a machine gun poking out of the backpack that neither of them seem to notice. So they travel back in time to Auschwitz to track down and kill Hitler. Vincent pulls out the paper menopause hoe, he calls it a costume, and then he stuffs it into his pocket and it's never mentioned again. And then nobody questions a Canadian kid wandering freely around a Nazi concentration camp at peak wartime because he has a sheet of paper shoved into his pocket. What am I doing with my life? Kimulator 2 is a choose-your-own-adventure game. The cutscenes play, and every now and then the game stops and you're given a few choices to continue the story. There's one good ending, multiple bad endings, a few ways to die, and a branching path where it becomes impossible to get the good ending. It's an extremely simple and small choose-your-own-adventure game, but just the fact that they managed to make one of these games and not screw it up is a lot of progression from the last time we saw these clowns. The biggest problem is that they only recorded one credit sequence for the game, where the credits roll over Vincent and the Traveler skipping away to happy music. This plays even if you get one of the bad endings where one or both of them get killed. My first playthrough, I got Vincent shot in the face by Hitler, and it still cuts to the Sunshine and Rainbow's happy ending where Vincent skips off into the sunset.
And that is the completely true story of the legendary French Canadian.
He got the shit beat out of him, failed miserably at life, and got shot dead in the face having not accomplished anything? The trademark BMC cringe factor has also been toned down a lot. Most of their obnoxious mugging for the camera has been replaced by hammy overacting, and I cannot tell you what a world of difference it makes when they're taking the game somewhat seriously. There's enough effort put into the acting and dialogue that this is the first game of theirs that hasn't felt like shitty home movies. I even got a few chuckles here and there from a lucky humorous delivery.
Let's go see Jesus!
Or a line that caught me off guard.
Aha! You suck.
There weren't any jokes that made me sad for the collective state of the human race, but there's one joke that I've seen other people complaining about. It comes here when Vincent asks this Nazi soldier where Hitler is, and he replies,
Jen, go over there. He's there playing with the Jews.
I got the implication that the Nazi was deluding himself to cope with his job or being sarcastic. Whether or not you find it in bad taste, it is, in fact, an actual joke. Unlike saying 9/11 and expecting laughs for the offensiveness. There's really only one scene of the painfully adolescent meme humor that they're known for, but it's a bad one. There's an extended scene where, out of nowhere and with no prompting, the main characters start practicing bottle flipping for a full minute and 15 seconds of screen time in a completely different location with no explanation. And then it continues when they get into a competition with a Nazi who's obsessed with bottle flipping for no reason. What say you, Optimus? Is your precious mankind still worth preserving? Yeah, I've got no answer for that. BMC has also discovered the joy of the overly long gag from Family Guy, like this scene where you shoot Hitler and he takes about a full 40 seconds to limp over to you. My favorite part is that the cameraman himself gets bored waiting for him to hobble over, and the camera pans over to show they're filming in some residential area, and the cameraman even talks to Hitler's actor, though his accent is too thick to make out what he's saying. I don't know if this is an intentional fourth wall break where even the crew thinks that the joke is going on for too long, or if I'm being way too nice and it's just a blooper that was left in. Mercifully, you can skip any cutscene in the game with a single click, which makes it easy to hunt down the branching cutscenes. The only cutscenes that you can't skip are the endings and the credits, which is perfectly reasonable. There's only one part of the game that made me want to chew off my own face, and ironically, it's not even BMC footage. Jesus is voiced by a YouTuber named Tofu the Survivor, and there's an obnoxiously long ad for his YouTube channel at the end of the credits.
I'm Tofu the Survivor, the voice of Jesus in Kimulator 2, and I want to take my time to say thank you so much for buying Kimulator 2.
He blathers and rambles on about an endless litany of stuff that has absolutely jack shit to do with the game.
You want to do some breathing exercises. That way you can make sure that, like, you get your vocal cords all aerated, you get everything good.
And this video just keeps going on for 4.5 minutes. This is the one other cutscene in the game that you can't skip. The only way to end this punishment is to close out the entire game.
So in between takes, I like to take a break or two. I like to make sure that I'm not fully, overworked. I like to make sure I get, enough playtime in as well for myself. Because, while you're making games, it's also a sequence termination process. I have to use it. I have to use my ultimate power, my ultimate psyche. Computer, enhance. Enhance the signal. Enhance 3 times. 4 times. think it's safe to assume that the files have been successfully uploaded to BMC Studio servers. God help us.
He's a fellow YouTuber. You have no right to crap all over his content. The guy has just as much merit as my material does. That being said, shut the fuck up! Oh, but that's not all. On the main menu is an option marked Extra, and the Extras menu only has one option on it. It's a video from a fan. Yes, BMC has fans who wanted to be in the game. He talks with audio too shitty to make out what he's saying, and then he puts on a gas mask and slices some grape tomatoes with his back turned to the camera. And that's the video. If I procedurally tested getting baked on every drug known to man, I would never be able to make up shit like this. It's almost brilliant. These bonus clips are so abysmal and so obnoxious, they make BMC look like Christopher Nolan by direct comparison. Kimulator 2 is far and away the best game that BMC has ever produced. They're growing incrementally more mature in their writing and acting, and coming down to reality and what's expected of them as game developers. The plot is coherent, dumb but coherent, and the gameplay, for what it is competently designed. Having said all of that, comparing this to BMC's other titles is like comparing something to the Republican healthcare bill. Everything is better than those atrocities. It doesn't do my viewers a whole lot of good if I grade on a massive curve, so we need to be brutally honest for a minute. The game is still extremely short. A standard run takes about 15 minutes, and that's if you're smart and you skip over Tofu to Survivor's ad. And skipping through cutscenes I'd already seen, it took me about 45 minutes to see all the cutscenes in the game. Up to you if that's worth a $3 price point. The plot is extremely straightforward. Literally the entire story is talk to a Nazi and then walk up to Hitler and confront him. They do absolutely nothing with the Auschwitz setting or mention what happened there, and I'm not Jewish, so I can't even begin to imagine if or how much they'd find that offensive. They set the plot around one of the greatest tragedies and atrocities in human history, and all they do with it is Hitler's playing with the Jews. There's not much of a satisfying ending either. You kill Hitler, roll credits. They don't return to the present, we don't find out if the kid's family is alive. They just say, well, that's done, let's go play video games. Yes, go play video games in 1945. Good luck with that. The next hurdle BMC needs to tackle is better audio equipment, and I know that I'm the pot calling the kettle black here. There's several points with loud gusts of wind in the audio, and between no boom mics and their thick accents, it can be tough to understand what they're saying. Plus, even though the acting and writing have improved, they're still not great. There's a few jokes that completely misfire, some weird-ass scenes of spastic arm flails, there's a few awful deliveries.
Why is he? Wow, it's amazing!
And even when the acting and writing are tolerable, it may have way too much cheese for a lot of people.
I will never die. Oh no!
And that's before you get into all of the blatant production errors, like... The time traveler doesn't speak English and his subtitles are full of grammatical errors. The gun that Vincent wields through the whole game is very blatantly not the gun they packed for the mission, he just pulls it out of his ass. One of Vincent's friends is plainly visible off to the side before he leaps on screen. There's a bad ending where you can tell Vincent to kick himself in the balls to death. I look stupid saying that they were getting more mature now, don't I? And his friend, who is dead in this ending, very obviously lifts his head up. There are multiple scenes where a character's head is cut off in the shot. There's a really awkward scene transition where Hitler just abruptly teleports all the way down a hallway. You can clearly hear a crew member laughing when Vincent tackles Hitler. Hitler keeps adjusting his prop mustache on camera. There are multiple death scenes where Vincent gets shot repeatedly, but his body doesn't move at all as bullets riddle his body. And one of the game overs involves Vincent getting blown up with a grenade, with him jumping back and an explosion sound with blatantly no explosion. Here, I'll fix that for you. Reviewing this game puts me in a tough spot because BMC is showing signs of improving. They deserve credit for that, and I want to encourage them to keep trying. But at the same time, I don't know how much I can recommend this game with a straight face. I'm so far in the deep end, I don't know how much is actual improvement and how much is me just being used to much worse. All I can do is hope that you've seen enough to make your own decision about the game, and hope that those of you who came looking for a train wreck got your fill. At least this game didn't make me feel the need to issue personal apology letters to the entire population of Canada for soiling their nationality. I'll take my win and go home.